Recruiting. How's it going?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Luke Robinson. That's Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. This is Locked On Bama. We're going to talk recruiting to begin with. We're also going to talk a little bit later on some more from the scrimmage. And the baseball team didn't do so dead gum well this weekend. Got swept by Arkansas. But maybe we'll leave that part out. Let's do a little recruiting to start out, Jimmy. We mentioned yesterday, AJ Paulie did commit to Alabama. Big deal. I mean, you know, we like it. He's not going to be the best player on our list. If he is, I mean, no offense, it's going to be a problem. But we like him. We want him to have a scholarship, and we think he's a good player. So we would certainly love to have him. I want to get into Elijah Havis and he's reaffirmed his date to commit being April 25th, which that's a Saturday, right?
It's day three of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Day three of the draft. I hope that's the last time Elijah Havis has ever identified with day three of the draft.
Yeah, exactly. True. But before I get into talking about him, I also want to talk about another SEC team that got a heck of a quarterback commitment, and it will surprise you. But we said in the last podcast, we talk about the in-state hall this year. Akeem Hall from Dothan, he's committed to Oregon. Will that stick? Let's wait and see. I mean, Tank and Naheem Alford both committed to Oregon very, very late in the process. Like, I think in both instances, it may have been the new signing day or something like that. It was late. Hall has committed to him before the summer even gets started. So let's see if that sticks. But he's committed there. Donovan Moore's committed to Auburn. I thought he was going to A-Day, but I heard he was in Auburn Saturday, so I don't know. I mean, he ain't going anywhere but Auburn anyway. He's been in Auburn his whole life. So,
yeah.
Then there's Jabarius Garrer, who we know about. He won't be going to Alabama, nor will Jatori Williams, in my opinion. Now, Isaac McNeil, who'll be committing very soon at Viger, I think he could end up at Alabama.
That could be. That's a could be. And I'm very excited. And hey, I know I get the homer thing, and that's fine. I'm just being honest when I say this because I don't know where Isaac McNeil's going. It's a strange year in state.
Mm-hmm.
I would rank Isaac McNeil the number one prospect in Alabama. That's what I think. Now I realize he's 6, 7, 8 on a lot of lists. I would put him 1. And when you think, boy, Jimmy, that is way out there. Is it? Because look at his offer list. He might have the best offer list of anyone in the state in terms of where he could commit. And I know you're saying, well, Hall just committed to Oregon. But here's one thing, and Bone and Tim do excellent work over there at BOL. And I'm sort of reading between the lines of their reporting. And from what I understand, maybe this is wrong, but I don't think so. I think people might be surprised to learn where Hall is ranked, that this is true. I'm not sure he could have committed to Alabama the day he committed to Oregon. It's different than Tank Jones and Alford.
Yeah, he shot up the list late. He
had an offer from Alabama, but offers are not takes and offers are not pushing for a commitment. Alabama might end up considering him takeable. They might push for him. They haven't pushed for him yet and may not, but it's not the Tank Jones and Alford. And I think people get confused because they see where he's ranked. This is a 5'11" corner. And as we know, Mo likes the taller corners. That when I watch the tape, I see a safety. And I've heard Alabama sort of likes him inside more than an outside corner. So, and again, I think Isaac McNeil should be the number one prospect in the state. And of course, I'm sky high on Gunnar Rivers. I'm higher than virtually every netball. Rivals doesn't think much of Gunnar at all. Of course, Rivals isn't too high on Elijah Havis either.
Yeah.
Rivals, who I love, best of all the services at ranking the kids. Me and Rivals aren't seeing eye to eye on the quarterbacks this cycle. They have Haven down there near 10, Gunnar Rivers in the 20s. They have Trent Seaborn higher than Gunnar Rivers. That's how much of a homer I'm not. I would have Gunnar higher myself. So that's all interesting stuff to me. But the big news here is you brought up, Luke, Elijah Havis committing April 25th. I'm going to go ahead and make a little news here. Lock Elijah Havis to Alabama on the 25th. That's a lock.
Put the stamp on it. I've already
Boom.
told you it's a Luke
Yeah.
Lovelock.
Luke Lovelock, yeah. You get the Jimmy Lovelock today. This
Bob
is going to be
Lovelock. For Arrested Development fans out there. So, but what's interesting is when you look at the rest of them, I mean, just running them down kind of quickly. Yeah. You mentioned Gunnar Rivers. He's committed to NC State. Then there's Jalen Scott, who was once committed to Auburn, now committed to Oklahoma. Deshaun Hall, a wide receiver from Prattville. Cam Pritchett, a defensive lineman at Thompson, committed to Oregon. Then there's Seaborn, Junior Tuopo, I guess is how you say that. Yeah. He was at Alabama this past week.
He's someone I would project to Alabama, by the way. Tuopo, I think probably ends up at Alabama. I'm not making a lob lock yet, but I'm leaning towards him choosing Alabama.
Elijah Brown committed to Kentucky. We talked about him last time. Jamison Roberts committed to Oklahoma, quarterback at Saraland.
I like both Oklahoma kids, by the way. Both. Now, I'm not saying Alabama should have taken Jamison Roberts. I'm going to be thrilled if Alabama ends up with Elijah and Trent Seaborn, but Jamison Roberts is good. And Jalen Scott's pretty great. I also think another really underrated guy that Alabama just doesn't seem enamored with at all, and that's fine. I like Ellis McGaskin. I still do. Committed to Notre Dame at one point, decommitted, might end up at Georgia. But I like Ellis or Auburn, but I like Ellis McGaskin a ton. I do. Again, that's me and Alabama not seeing eye to eye. It happens.
You've liked him for years.
I've liked Ellis McGaskin since the 9th grade. I've never changed. I think Alabama's not enamored with the size because basically he was this big when he was in the 9th grade and never really changed. I think that affected things a little bit. But here's who he is to me for an Alabama comp. Like, if you think he's small and too small, why is QB Reese a threat to be a starter?
I was about to say him.
He's QB Reese is who he is, and probably even a little better at the same stage to me. But I like Ellis McGaskin. I would rank him top 10 or 12 in Alabama for sure. I would. And again, I'd have Gunnar Rivers really high. I like Jalen Scott a lot. So it's kind of a weird year in state. I'm not super enamored. I love that safety from Prattville, Jaden Aparicio-Bailey. Love him. Alabama, I don't think has offered him. But hey, Alabama did offer that junior. I've been talking about Saraland for 3 years. Keone Snipes.
Yeah, they offered him.
Finally got an Alabama offer. I've been wanting to offer him for over a year. But Snipes has a chance to be the number one prospect in the state in 28. Although that Joey Fleming kid in Huntsville, he might have that on lockdown.
He might. And, the thing about, I understand what the staff's doing too. I'm with you on the QB Reese. You know how I feel about QB Reese. That's you and Ellis McGaskin. But it's probably sort of like when you're playing blackjack and you got a 16 looking at a 10 and you decide after hitting, and sometimes busting, sometimes, not busting, you decide I'm going to stay this one time and it works out for you. And then somebody goes, well, why don't you stay all the time? And you go, well, it's because it's not the right thing to do all the time. I'm sort of like you. You should probably take a chance on a kid occasionally like that. Not all the time. Every class, I don't want some undersized dude we think can overcome. I want to take a chance on a kid, though, that Jimmy has loved since he was in 9th grade, and Ellis McGaskin. I'm down with that. That look, he was committed to Notre Dame, so he obviously has an offer there. He was now he's projected to LSU by some places.
Yeah, it's not like
Jimmy's saying he may end up at Georgia. It's not like he's bunk.
Brad Baker over there is fantastic defensive coordinator. It's not like he's an idiot. Now, they of course run a different scheme. They had Harold Perkins. I'm not comparing him to Harold Perkins. That's crazy, but he is sort of like that as a player. I like him a lot, but an LSU. But hey, here's one other thing. First of all, what Luke just described about taking a flyer, on some kids that might be worth it. You can do that now that you have 105. I would like to see Alabama offer and take Ellis McGaskin, but I get that he wouldn't be a priority. I get that he wouldn't be we want you and we're going to give you $600,000. I mean, I get that he's not that guy for Alabama, and maybe he is for other schools, which takes Alabama right out of it. I mean, if Alabama's like, we'll take you, but you're just kind of a scholarship guy to us. And I'm not saying that's what I'm just hypothesizing, because what we don't know here, and really very few to nobody knows what the financial deals are. And as much as I say, boy, I wish Alabama would take McGaskin. Hey, for all I know, the kid wants a wagon barrel full of money that even I wouldn't be on board with. So that's what we don't know. But as a player, I like him, and I would take him. But Isaac McNeil, another off-ball linebacker, better prospect. Why? Longer, bigger, twitchier, physical. I think Isaac McNeil passed Guerra last year, became the best prospect at Viger, and Viger's got 2 or 3 of these guys. Guerra is kind of uniquely sized for what he does. He's kind of like an edge rusher, but we want our edge rushers big like Yonze Pierre. I don't think Guerra's ever going to be that big.
I hope that Ellis Magaskin commits to Alabama, and then when he gets Tuscaloosa, he's like, "Hey, where's my money?" And Coach DeBoer goes, "Jimmy Stein has it, man."
Oh, how I wish. I wouldn't have struggled to get these Morgan Wallen tickets.
Let's talk a little FanDuel, because it's FanDuel talking time. They're sponsoring this podcast. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters. Every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. Here's what I like about it. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. Look, it makes the playoff experience even more engaging from start to finish. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, where you can play your game. And if you don't believe me, check that guarantee Jimmy Stein laid on you, wherever that is. So let's talk a little Elijah Havis, because he will be committing on April 25th, which, as you said, third day of the NFL draft. But I did this last segment, so I shouldn't do it again, but I will. Kentucky just got like the number 2 quarterback in the country, according to Rivals. Now, according to most places, he's like the top 10, top 12. For Rivals, he's number 2 in the country. So pretty big get. Yep. This new Will Stein and company, I mean, they got Elijah Brown to commit from Prattville. They've got some dudes. I mean, they're getting some people involved now. They're getting some money put together, obviously.
2 things line up here for Kentucky, and yeah, that's impressive by them. And this is what happens when you hire a Stein. I would tell everybody that. So 2 things line up though for Kentucky. First of all, Will Stein is a QB whisperer. He's a QB expert, and he just was coaching Dante Moore, and he's got a good list of top guys he's coached. He's a quarterback guy. But what I want people to think about here when it comes to the money, to Rev Share, not just NIL, Rev Share and NIL. Kentucky's differently situated than Alabama in this sense. Alabama's trying to sign 20 guys who are pretty highly ranked. You got to spread the money out. Kentucky can go all in more than an Alabama or an Ohio State or Georgia, because they're not going to get many dudes that rank like this guy does. They can push more money to the center of the table. It reminds me of when Alabama was interested in that tight end in Minnesota last summer, who was a good player, and Alabama liked him, but he wasn't a priority for Alabama. He was a major priority for Minnesota. Who would have thought Minnesota outbid Alabama? They certainly did in that case, because they're pushing their chips to the center of the table for that guy. Alabama's just a guy. Kentucky can go all in on a 5-star quarterback, I would say more so than an Alabama, Ohio State, or Georgia, who's trying to sign 20 highly ranked guys. Kentucky's not going to do that. So that's what I think. That kid going to Kentucky is a sign of the times of how, to some extent, NIL and Rev Share is spreading out the talent pool to some extent.
His last name is Nawrot, Nawrot. How'd you like to be the preacher? I now present to you Mr. and Mrs. Nawrot.
I'm about to watch an episode of The Pit when we're done recording this, and I won't be surprised if someone has a case of Nawrot on the show.
Nawrot, it does sound like something you get if you go in the wrong creek to go looking for crawdads. He came down with a bad case of the Nawrots.
I got bit by a spider. Now I got
and you definitely don't want the Nawrot if you have the sugar. So Jimmy, let's go back to Elijah Havis now, because here's another thing I'm noticing. First of all, I feel like the Hayes in the barn and the Barnes under contract, and like everything's done.
We've law blocked him.
We've law blocked him. I almost don't want to talk about him anymore until he actually commits, because I feel like anything I do now can only jinx it.
Jinx it. Yeah. No, I believe Alabama is going to be his only official visit. Great work by Bone. Bone talked to Haven's people. Is here this weekend, and Bone did good work as always there. I believe Alabama's his only official visit, so we're not exactly going out on these thin limbs with our law block here. What I'm interested in, and since there's such a discrepancy in his ranking, ESPN and 24/7 are like 5-star, this is the guy. Rivals is like, barely top 100 player. I can't even remember. It might be outside the top 100. I mean, Rivals is just, not that they consider him not a great prospect. He is ranked like a great prospect, but not ranked like a 5-star quarterback like 24/7 and ESPN have for Haven. So what I'm interested in, Luke, you know who's going to settle this tie for me? The good people out at the Elite 11 finals, and I think it's in LA now. The people at the Elite 11 finals. That's going to happen in June. Haven is invited. He earned himself a spot at Elite 11. I think that's where this will be decided in terms of, is Rivals correct and Haven's really more like 8, 9, 10? Or is 24/7 and ESPN right and he should be 1 or 2? I think as a prospect, we decide here, right here and now on this show, that we're going to let the Elite 11
I'm down with that. Now, here's something else that's interesting about the quarterback list. Now, I will use Rivals industry because I think the industry is usually the better way to go. So
takes everything into account.
Yeah, and Elijah Haven is number 11 nationally in the industry. Here's the thing. If Rivals gets on board with Elijah Haven's, because they have him in 96 right now, if they get on board with like, okay, he's a top 30 player, he probably shoots up number 1 player in the class.
And Elite 11 has a big effect on rankings, right? If you're doing the rankings for Rivals, aren't you paying close attention to what happens there? You learn a lot more about the kids than you would of watching him play some 4A school in Louisiana, at Elite 11 when he's competing side by side with his peer group.
Here's a sign of the times to me. So we think Elijah Haven goes to Bama. We'd love to have him. I think it's wonderful. 6'4.5", 220 out of Baton Rouge. I mean, it's got to sting a little bit for LSU. Actually, like, who knows what Lane Kiffin thinks, so it probably doesn't matter. The second-ranked guy is Kavian Bryant. He's going to Texas Tech. Again, sign of the times. Izzy Abrams from Illinois going to Miami. He's number 3 guy. I think that's a sign of the times in that, it's not crazy for a good quarterback to go to Miami, but they're better programs right now than Miami. Miami's just spending a lot of money. Oregon's probably going to end up with Will Menzel from Chandler, Arizona. Again, I would say sign of the times. Nebraska has gone all in again to get a guy out of Illinois and Trey Taylor, the number 5 quarterback. I say all in. They probably, like you talked about, they probably put a helping heaping worth of dollars in this one guy because that's going to be their highest ranked guy. Then you've got Penn State and LSU for Peter Bork, Peyton Houston potentially. Well, he's committed to LSU. He's also out of Louisiana. And then Gunnar Rivers to NC State. Now, that's a little unique because it's a sign of the times and his dad went there.
I wonder where he would have gone had his dad never played NC State. I mean, I'm thinking he's not at NC State if dad hadn't been there.
Probably. But now then you've got Illinois, Washington, A&M. Now, again, A&M in Florida, I'd say A&M may be a sign of the times. Florida, I don't know so much. Ole Miss. Finally, you get to Ohio State, the number 14 player or number 14 quarterback in the country, nationally number 152. I mean, Ohio State usually gets somebody ranked higher than that at quarterback. There's no doubt. So I'm just saying is you can talk what your theory is correct. I think a lot of these teams are putting a lot of their money eggs into the quarterback basket and then let the rest of the chips fall where they may. And what I think that ends up happening after all this is after their teams begin to falter because like Dylan Raiola proved to us at Nebraska, you can't just be an awesome quarterback and just win games against other teams that have awesome everything. Dylan Raiola ends up transferring because I think a lot of these other quarterbacks will end up transferring too because they look around and go, hey, I need money, but I also need talent to be successful.
Yeah, and I need to be developed. For the next level. They find out once they start making college money, they're like, boy, the real money's in the NFL. I need to really focus on my development. So I think that happens with some of these guys. But yeah, it's in terms of, by the way, I think that Ohio State kid's also going to be at Elite 11. So it'll be interesting to see, even though he's, like you said, for an Ohio State guy, he's not ranked really high, but maybe the Elite 11 shakes things up. Doesn't seem to be a great class nationally to me in terms of quarterbacks this year. I'm not knocked out by numbers of these guys, based on what I've seen so far. The Elite 11 may change my mind about that, but right now I would say this pretty average to below average crop of QBs nationally, and that can flip from year. I remember the year Caleb Williams came out. Caleb was awesome, and there were very few other super elite prospects that year. That happens, so we'll see. Transfer portal changes a lot. This is how big a quarterback is. When I'm talking about Kentucky going all in on a quarterback, Luke, this is how big quarterback is. 2 sign of the times programs in the playoff last year, and by sign of the times I mean new wave college football, Indiana and Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. Indiana wins the national. They make the playoff and win the national championship. Texas Tech makes the playoff but loses quickly. Why? Quarterback.
Yep, no doubt about it.
That's why Texas Tech went so big on Sorsby and literally outbid a whopping offer from LSU. They know their quarterback wasn't good enough last year, so they went all in on Brendan Sorsby, who I'm very high on. I think he's got a chance to be great. But we'll see. I mean, Indiana did a great job of putting Mendoza in the right place for him to be great. I mean, no one was talking about Mendoza a year ago as being the best quarterback in college football. They were talking about guys like DJ Lagway.
Yep. Who is at Baylor now, weirdly. Yep. TurboTax is tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with the stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. They don't. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade into it. TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today with TurboTax.com/local. Want to remind everybody, check out our Everydayer Club. You will love it. I can't tell you how much fun it is. The memes and the gifts alone are worth the price of admission, which is $5 per month or $50 for the year. And you can't beat that with a stick. And so look, for less than a tank of gas.
I'll tell you what I'll do on Discord. On Discord all summer, I really focus on recruiting myself. I get enamored with recruiting because that's really what happens. Now, May, June, and July, huge recruiting months. Used to not be that way, but now it's the recruiting months. So I get on my little kicks where I get excited about recruiting, watch a lot of Huddle. What am I going to do after I watch Huddle? I'm going to go straight to the Discord page and say, hey, if anybody's interested, this is what I think about such and such kid that I watched today. Because I get eat up with recruiting in May, June, and July because it's what used to be December and January and February. Now it's the summer.
We're in Alabama. It's pronounced you got et up.
Et up. Okay. Yeah, I'll work on that. I was watching Rory McIlroy play golf today, so now I'm talking like him. Now I'm
King's English. I'll tell you what, I like Southern drawl is so much better than King's English. I'm sorry. It's just so much better.
That's my thing.
What's so hilarious to me is my grandmother was from Selma, and she taught English, and she would also always say things like, you're butchering the King's English. And I'd be like, what'd you say?
I ain't trying to do King's English here.
I ain't trying to do nothing. I ain't did nothing. So anyway, all right. We're not going to talk baseball. We will acknowledge, because we're not hypocrites, that the baseball team got swept. Not a good look. But as Jimmy said it, we regress to the mean. Yep. No one should have said, this Alabama team can win it all. I don't think they can win it all. Now, I mean, they can. Fresno State did it as a 4 a few years ago, whatever. But they can't. They won't. And I'm not mad about that. We never have before, so I'm not going to expect it now from a team that was okay in the preseason until they finally ran up on Southern Miss. They got blown out, and we were like, oh, maybe they're not good. Then they get swept at Kentucky. We're like, oh, God, we're terrible. Then Luke talks bad about them, and they go on a major streak, and everybody's like, oh, my God, they're going to win the Natty. And now we get swept by Arkansas. Nobody should panic now either. We're an up and down, like off and on all the time around here. Shout out to Little Dicky.
Just not great. I mean, here's the deal. We play great in flashes. Great teams and great players don't play in flashes. They're great all the time. This Alabama team is not great in that sense. When they're not great, they're going to get beat. The SEC is just brutal. You can be swept by anyone. This Arkansas team that went in and people are like, oh, they're 5-7 in the league. They must not be very good. Are you kidding me? They could easily end up in Omaha. That Kentucky team we got swept, they're good. So are the teams we swept. They're good. I mean, everybody in this league's crazy. Now you go to Texas. Hold
listen,
your butts.
Hey, I just want to win one. Just win me one.
Oh, if we win one, I'll be thrilled. I mean, I will take one. And it has nothing to do with being swept this weekend. I'm just talking about the talent matchup at Texas. Win one.
Just win one. All right. The other thing I want to bring up, because we haven't heard any basketball news as of this recording. By the time you hear it, maybe something's happened. But no Cade Phillips yet, although I think we get him.
I do too. Are we gonna put a lob block there?
Let's lightly lob block it.
I feel that that's a great way to put it. I'm not ready to lob block, but I'm also like, I think I would bet something. I'm not going to bet at all.
Let's press the pencil down really hard, so even if you erase it, you can still see the ghost of it. But
I would go so far as to say I think Jasper Johnson's.
I'm with you on Jasper Johnson. Okay,
I think that's a light lob block.
Okay, so I'm cool with both of those. Now here's the thing. I looked around today. PJ Haggerty, who averaged almost 24 points a game last year for Kansas State. He was at Memphis, and I forget where he was before that, but this will be I think it's his fifth school in 5 years, if I remember. So he's going to A&M. So, okay, and because they're getting a 24-point per game guy, I don't know if he's going to work in their system. Who the hell knows? I know Bucky's a great coach, so I think it's probably going to turn out well. I saw Houston got DeDan Thomas from LSU, so he's out, even though we were probably out anyway for him, which is fine. Auburn got Todd Pettiford to come back. That's probably good for them.
Yeah, sure.
It's not like a bombshell. But now Louisville just got Flory Badunga and some other dude everybody was chomping at the bit for, whose name escapes me. But, man, there's some moves being made out there. I'm ready for us to make a move. I'm not mad at Nate Oates. I'm not mad about anything. We're going to be fine. I'm just saying I'm going to be happy when something finally does break.
You surprised more players aren't in the portal from Alabama? I am. There's only 3. I thought there would be more.
Who else would you think? You think London Jemison would have been?
I mean, I fully expected Bristow to leave. I mean,
I did too. Now that one, I don't know. That one can't be. That one's weird.
I'm not sure. I know a lot of inside scoop here from multiple sources that just feels wrong, but it's from such good sources. How can I say it's wrong? But it feels wrong. And of course, we'll get into it once Bristow makes a decision one way or the other. I expected him to enter the portal, but that hasn't happened. And, hey, he's a good player. If Bristow's healthy all in on Alabama, I'd be excited about him coming back for sure.
I would too. Now, but I'm like you. I've got a couple of basketball sources, and one of them told me about 2 or 3 months ago when I asked about Bristow, they said, you know what? All I can say is I hate college basketball today. And what I took from that, what I inferred from that was that he's saying there's some business decision sitting out instead of playing going on. I may have been wrong. Maybe I was just wrong in what I inferred from that because I didn't press any further. Because for people who don't know, if you got a source and you press them too much or they think you'll betray them, they won't be your source anymore. So I just let it go. Okay. Yeah. But I'm saying, and then I saw some things about, the Keeton Bristow situation that made me think, oh, he probably won't be at Alabama next year. But I'm like you, man, if you give me Alabama at Illinois, Keeton Bristow, yeah, let's get some more of that. I want more of him.
And the portal's only going to be open for a few more days. I mean, that's not closing imminently, but I think there was only an 11-day window when it was open. So we're moving up. I guess this upcoming week is your last chances to get in. So we'll see what happens. But I'd be excited with Cade Phillips. I know most people aren't because they look at the numbers and the stats. You have to realize, though, what Alabama's doing here. In my mind, it's not apples to apples. But Alabama's replacing Noah Williamson with Cade Phillips. They're not replacing Aiden Sherrill with Cade Phillips.
And when you put it that way, it changes the outlook.
Well, what I mean is give us a few minutes off the bench, play defense and rebound, which is what we were asking Noah to do. And I think that's what the ask would be there. And that's why I would be excited about that, because that's what, but so many people think that when you're getting a portal guy, they all must be starters that you're high on, that you're giving multiple millions to. No, there's a lot of role players that you sign out of the portal. Jasper Johnson, I think this is the optimistic side. I'm not saying he's going to end up this way, but his story is similarish to Aiden Holloway's. I mean, super highly recruited, goes where he goes freshman year, disappointing, but scored pretty well for the minutes he played. As a matter of fact, I looked it up. If you pretended Aiden Holloway played 40 minutes at Auburn as a freshman, pretended Jasper Johnson played 40 minutes at Kentucky, Jasper scored every bit as much as Holloway and shot it the same and was a big kind of 5-star type guard. So I'm just saying, in Alabama's system, maybe Jasper Johnson blossoms like Holloway did. So that's why I'd be excited about that.
If you're named Jasper or Opp or Gunnersville, you should have to go to Alabama.
Wasn't Jasper one of the vampires on Twilight? Would you know this?
I saw that first Twilight, and I remember thinking, this is the worst. I can't tell if this is the worst vampire movie or the worst romance movie I've ever seen.
I could do like whole shows on Twilight, not because I love it, but because I'm fascinated with the whole movement.
Well, we have to go, but I've got to tell everybody this. So last night, Saturday night, I think my wife was probably mad at me because I didn't want to go to a concert to see Goose. And I'm like, I was like, is it just one man band? She goes, no, there are a bunch of them. I said, well, shouldn't it be Geese? And then she was like, what the hell are you talking about? And then I was like, well, I don't like that kind of music.
Does that have anything to do with the Top Gun character?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I think it's like somebody described it as Fish with more techno, which I don't like Fish and I don't like techno. So I don't know why anybody thought I'd want to go to this. Regardless, we didn't go. And my wife said, all right, so we have to watch a family movie and like a classic so that Sela, our 9-year-old, can see a classic movie. I said, that's fair. And it came down to E.T. or Back to the Future when we watched E.T. And I hadn't seen E.T. in years. First of all, Drew Barrymore knocked that out of the park. She was the best actress in the whole thing, the best actor in the whole thing.
She was 10. She was like 10, right?
She was unbelievable.
I don't remember. I remember Drew Barrymore was I didn't remember being, but I hadn't seen it. I probably hadn't seen it since I was in the 8th or 9th grade. Exactly.
So then, I'm holding back a sneeze. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best. I don't want to pause anything. Okay, I got it. So then when E.T. gets he starts getting sick, my daughter
with the null rot. He got null rot.
And my daughter was like, losing it. She was like, I can't believe y'all wanted me to see this. I don't want E.T. to die. I can't believe it. You wanted me to see this. I'm like, hey, I don't want to ruin a movie or anything, but can you give it till the end?
You're like, this is great. It ends just like Oh Yeller.
I was like, I swear to God, Jimmy, in my head, I went, man, I really wanted her to see Oh Yeller because I was thinking it's good to see these things. Oh Yeller gets me today.
I didn't remember until you mentioned it today to me when you were talking about this before you were telling everybody. I'd forgotten that E.T. had some
he got COVID
trauma.
That's where it came from.
I thought I remembered E.T. like being the subject of a government hunt down. He was. But that's what I remember. But I didn't remember that he almost died.
He had. I think that in the end, I think in ET2 they found out Elliot poisoned him with those Reese's Pieces, and that's what did it. ET2 didn't take off very well, by the way. Anyway, all right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. I just made a whole bunch of stuff up. I'm going to get sued by Spielberg. No big deal. All right, we will see y'all tomorrow. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.